Welcome to Wisdom to Wealth, the show that helps you maximize your results in life, combining today's cutting-edge strategies with the ancient, timeless wisdom of King Solomon, the richest man that ever lived. And now here's your host, David Newby. Into it. Welcome, everybody, to another awesome episode of Wisdom to Wealth. I am your host, David Newby, recording at 10:39 at night. Forgot how to speak English. I have a very special, awesome guest today, all the way from down under, also known as Australia, shrimp on the Barbie, crocodile Dundee, all the silly American stereotypes. But Jos is the coolest guy in Australia because, number one, his name is Jos, and number two, his website is I am Jos Aguiar. So, Jos, welcome to the show. We're honored to have you.
Well, thank you so much for the warm welcome, David. The thing is, no one in Australia actually calls them shrimp.
Really?
No, that's an American thing.
Wow. That's really, really fascinating.
I get that in itself is a marketing lesson right there. Like, the marketing that was using those words was an American word. We call them prawns here.
Wow. So some American wrote that script where for Dumb and Dumber, like, throw another shrimp on the bobby, and you guys just laugh at us, basically, right?
Pretty much.
Wow, that's really funny. So does someone say in Australia, throw another prawn on the Barbie? Like, do you say the word Barbie?
We say Barbie sometimes, but it's barbecue, BBQ.
Okay.
It's not so much the same terminology that they use in their ads.
Wow, that's funny. So probably some American wrote that script and they ran with it and they never bothered to ask an Australian, do Australians talk this way?
Oh, possibly. Who knows? They could have just given what the market wanted as the appeal of throwing out the shrimp in the Barbie. Sounds very ochre.
Wow. Well, that's fascinating. Yeah, my wife is from the Philippines, so I love that, we can use the technology, and you're in Australia now and I'm in the U.S. and do this call. And just the way people speak language, even English, it's spoken so differently around the world. It's very fascinating.
Well, it is fascinating. You also depending on what kind of business you are, you need to be aware of how other countries will interpret things. Like, we had an agency 6 or 7 years back called Dirtbox Creative.
Uh-huh.
It means a very different thing in the UK than it does in the rest of the world.
So a Dirtbox, does it have a negative connotation in the UK?
It has a negative connotation in the UK, just what it means to them. But in Australia, it meant like growing and nurturing. Like, you had a box of dirt that gives the plant the nutrients and allows it to grow and prosper. So we had that around brands.
Uh-huh.
But when you apply that in the UK, it means something totally different, which I'm sure your audience will probably be looking up now if they don't already know it.
Sort of like in the US, someone will say that's a crock of SH, right? And then someone else might be like, oh, that's great. That's good fertilizer. So it's all about like your perspective and is it good or bad? Or you guys use the gardener perspective for dirt.
There are local understandings of it. Mm-hmm. So it comes back to understanding who your market is.
So do people really say when they do like cheers, up your bum? When they're like drinking?
Sorry, missed that one.
Well, some people, like when they have a drink together, will they sometimes say up your bum, like for cheers?
Never heard that before, but I'm not a huge bar person anyway.
Yeah, I'm not either. I watched the movie Outsourced about a guy whose whole call center job gets outsourced to India, and he's from Seattle. And he's like the one American guy that they picked that said you can stay with the company if you go and train all the replacements in India. So he does it, and it's just a hilarious movie about him trying to figure out how to live in Indian culture. So in the movie, he has a crush.
Reality is different as well.
Yeah, he has this crush on this Australian lady, and they go out for drinks, and she says, "Up your bum." That was maybe in the TV show that they made out of the movie. So maybe these are regional phrases, or just some American is entertaining themselves. One of the two.
I think some American entertaining themselves in that particular one.
So
when we say things like "she'll be right, mate" or "yeah, nah." That's some things that you might have Australians talk about, but a lot of it is done just for TV purposes.
Wow. So at least we figured out people do say mate. We've established that much.
We do say mate.
Yeah, that's very good. Right. So
So everybody, Joss is a newer mate of mine, but one of the things that we connected about is um, I've really intentionally looked to reach out to billionaires and other people, I figure if you want to be successful, you go to the highest level of success and look to model and be mentored by and learn from them. And one of the things that fascinated me about you, Joss, is I want to talk in a little bit about your marketing services and how you're helping your clients because you're doing amazing things. But it really struck me when we met and we talked about some of the different people we've been interacting with that it seemed like it sort of felt natural to you to interact with some very highly successful people. And so I'd love to ask you, like, I think it'd be really valuable for my audience to hear what do you think are the keys that have enabled you just to connect perhaps effortlessly, naturally with really successful people? Because some people get really nervous around a very successful person. I think I'd love to hear, how did you go about that?
I guess my question to that would be, why would they get nervous?
Mm-hmm.
What's different about them, really?
I think that
Apart
people
from the fact that they put in the time.
I think a lot of people but in America there's this big idea of competition. So it's like you're always trying to beat the next guy or best your competition. I think sometimes people subconsciously they think, oh, there's nothing I can offer this person. There's such a higher level of competition than me. I think at least for Americans that may be part of it. But that is a good question to be asking.
Okay, so why have nothing to offer them? Like, there should be some sort of exchange there. Like, the value exchange, even in the conversation, is like you might be able to give them something to think about. You might be able to talk to them or give them insights that they don't have. Like, remember, the people that are successful are very successful at particular things.
Right.
So if you can give them some sort of expertise in a different area or add to the conversation there, it's a natural flowing conversation. Like, I guess there's a lot of people. Who is your audience that listen to this podcast?
Yeah, I have a lot of entrepreneurs who listen to our show. The theme behind Wisdom to Wealth is that applying wisdom in your life, whether it's in business, in relationships, in communication, is the key to becoming successful. King Solomon, it's an ancient king of Israel, he became a trillionaire, and the way he did it was through applying wisdom at a very high level in business. To such a degree that his grandson tried to restart his gold mining operation and couldn't even get the ships down to the mines. So you could say he applied the mastermind principle more powerfully than anyone in the history of the world. And so to me, like someone who's looking to apply the highest level possible wisdom are the kind of people that I attract. And so studying billionaires today is a very natural thing to do. And I really like to tie the principles of this ancient wisdom of Solomon, along with cutting edge technology that we're talking on, et cetera, to really help someone maximize their success with whatever they want to do in the world.
So, like, a lot of these people have very honed expertise in certain areas. Mm-hmm. They are lacking in other areas. So, if you can add the conversation there, excellent.
Right.
You can just have a conversation. Like, a lot of the guys I just connect with and talk to them, like a normal person.
Uh-huh.
Like, a lot of these conversations have nothing to do with business, and some do. Like, it's not necessarily a need to go down that business route with them, but if you can be real and have a conversation that is interesting, mm-hmm. they're going to want to talk to you more or add value to them. The rest, like what you're doing right now with this interview, you're giving them a platform to speak on to reach more people with their message. You can talk to them about what they're interested in.
Right.
So one of the most interesting things about people is to be interested in others. Mm-hmm. You don't have to say a word. We leave the conversation, be the most interesting person in that room.
Right.
Because you're interested in other people. Like,
yeah, I think that to me, like I draw three things of what you just answered, Josh. Number one is you have the confidence to realize you have value to give them. They may be the best in the world at social media, Mark Zuckerberg, right? The platform creation and management. However, you may be great at something in personal skills that he would love to learn from you about. So I think number one is wanting to add value. Number two, having confidence that you can add value to them. And number three is treat them like a regular person and don't put them on a pedestal and act weird around them.
Exactly. It's not rocket science. And I find a lot of people like that, they don't get people asking them for a conversation. Mm-hmm. Like you said, people are scared of asking for it. So ask, be persistent.
Yeah, I think
Don't
sometimes
be weird about it, but
they're used to like people fanboying out on them or wanting something from them right away. Like, oh, I met this billionaire, I got to get something from them, and it's like, well, talk to them, get to know them, build some rapport, like act like you do with a normal person. So, yeah, it's to me. I'll give you my own experience. I'd love to hear your feedback on
hmm.
this because it seemed to me like when you were younger, you said you met a couple of really successful people and were able to build a relationship with them. I think because I grew up really poor and I didn't have a dad on my birth certificate, that I had this rejection identity, and so I felt
Hmm.
like I had to prove myself to others. And when it comes to in finances, a billionaire person, maybe that rejection thing felt heightened, or a fear of them rejecting me. I was taking it too personally whether they would like me or not, and so that affected my confidence for sure. And maybe just people get confidence from different things. But I think just that confidence that in who you are, that you care about them, you're interested in them, and that's enough.
Hmm.
That's enough. I didn't have that belief 7, 8 years ago. I had to cultivate it.
I had this conversation earlier today. Someone was talking about influencers. What
Mm-hmm.
is an influencer? An influencer, it's contextual. It's who are they influencers to?
Uh huh.
It depends on your perspective. Like, if you value wealth in large amounts, a person who has large amounts of money is going to be someone who's influential to you.
Right.
If you value charitable giving or people in the wild, let's change the subject. If you value the hockey, and that's your main thing, you love hockey, you live and breathe hockey, and if someone who's a famous hockey player comes up to you, you might be fanboying over them.
Right.
Whereas someone else walks up to them, they won't even know who they are.
Right. Yeah, even
So it's
amongst
about
billionaires, it's
perspective.
fascinating, right? Like you have people who have all this PR, like Warren Buffett, Richard Branson. These guys are really
Hmm.
good at PR. Elon Musk is really good at PR. Then you have guys that like don't want to be on the Forbes list. Like they totally want to stay away from media. So they're
It's
both
a
worth
tool.
they're both worth 10 figures. They're both members of the Three Comma Club, but they're at completely different ends of the spectrum.
Hmm.
Of one values anonymity and the other values uh, they use PR to maximize their impact. So it's a fascinating duality there.
It's a tool, and sometimes if you're going to work your way through it, you need to be some sort of frontman to things. So you need to
Uh-huh.
be in the public eye. There are ways to obviously have that anonymity,
Mm-hmm.
but publicity does help. I've a lot of people talk to me about that. It's a double-edged sword. It's going to
Right.
help you in major ways, but it can also put you way more public than you want to be.
Yeah, when you have all your messes in public, there's more to clean up. So
Yeah.
you get the benefits and there's the risk reward factor too. So I want to ask Josh, like some people feel like they have to be around these successful people to validate themselves, right? They want that their stuff to rub off on them. Did you purposely, when you were starting off in business, seek out certain successful people in different niches that you were interested in, perhaps to network with, or did you just happen to run into that really successful guy at that event that you went to that you were telling me about?
Bit of both. I saw people who I liked, and if I saw someone, I read a book like Steve, I think I read about him, and I then connected with him, and then said, "Hey, let's do an interview together." He's like, "Yep, I'm down for it."
Uh huh.
But
So
it's more about
you recognize Steve Sims you're talking about from a book you had read. So then you purposely looked
I
to
read an
engage with
article
him.
about him and then connected with him.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's cool. Like, did you know he was going to be at that event that you went to, or did you just happen to run into him?
Steve, I haven't met Steve yet.
Okay,
He's
so you
just
guys
posted
just
online.
you just
Yeah,
reached out to him on Facebook and or other channels.
correct.
Oh,
Yeah, correct.
excellent.
Like, it's easy to connect with people. Like, connect with anyone you want. Read a book. Like, if you're trying to make it work in any industry, you're talking about building your own profile or whatever for purposes. Look to the people who are already doing exceptionally well and speak to them. Ask for their insights.
Right.
It'll help both you and them because it gives them a platform to speak to more people. It also helps you by raising your profile, and I guess the conversation you have with them rubs up on people who are looking to you.
Right. Right.
So it's called trust transference. So
Hmm.
if someone sees someone else as a trustworthy source in their marketplace and you're positioned next to them, they automatically position some of that trust they would normally have that person onto you.
Wow, that's cool.
But then ideally you want to actually create a real friendship out of that.
Hmm.
So when it comes into following up with them afterwards, that most valuable part of the conversations for me are the 5 minutes after the calls. 10 minutes we just talk about stuff that's not necessarily related to business, but just talking about them. How can you help them? What's going on in their lives?
Right.
And just connecting on a human level.
Yeah, I think that that exit interview where you really, if you built some rapport, and I mean, some people, let's admit it, some people are just really good fits for each other personality-wise, and some aren't, and that's okay. But if even just asking that question, is there any other way I can add value to you other than what we've talked about? Or I know one guy, he met a really influential person, and then he basically said, like, what's your biggest focus? And he was like, well, it's actually my health, you know? The guy makes a ton of money, and he was focused on just improving his health because he wants to be around for his grandkids, and his blood pressure was going up, and he was getting overweight. So the guy that asked him actually was really, really great at health, and he helped him a lot. So yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like even Pagan calls it move the free line. You know, see if you can really add value to them and give so much value that they're just going to want to be around you because they know that you really care about them and want to help them out.
Same as any friend, doesn't matter whether they're successful or not. It just, if you're the kind of person that people want to be around, you're going to attract more people like that. And if you are interesting to them, like, people want to be around people who push themselves forward. So if you're looking to improve yourself by asking them questions, and questions that are actually properly researched, like you understand them before you start asking questions. Right. They understand, okay, this guy actually knows who I am. They actually value me in my time. They're asking good questions.
Right.
They're going to want to spend more time around you. Because by answering those questions, they improve themselves, but they also know that they're giving back in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the like we were talking about right before the interview, the curse of knowledge. Sometimes stuff that we know, it's so elemental to us, but then it's a big deal to someone else. Like in your marketing business, Jos, I'd love to hear what percentage of people that hire you and use your marketing services, what I'd love you to talk about a little bit, like what areas you guys focus on. What percent, like, I've read a ton of books by Dan Kennedy and Chet Holmes and Robert Collier and all these other things, and what percent, some people have, $10 million businesses and they've never read a single book about marketing. Like, it's natural to them, or they're really good at their industry. Like, what's been your experience?
Most people haven't read those books. You don't need to read a book to grow a business. Mm-hmm. It helps, and it helps to understand fundamentals, especially if you're offering it as a marketing service.
Right.
But ultimately, what it comes down to, growing any business, understand who your market is, know where your customers are, know how to find them, and know how to speak to them, and then sell your service or product.
Right. So, like, I love what Dan Kennedy says. Look for people who are already doing well and want to do better, and sell them your services, because they're not going to be all price buying. They'll pay for really, really amazing result quickly with as little amount of time for them or hassle. If you can make their life easier, sort of like a no BS marketing to the affluent, like, those are the kind of people to attract. So to me, it's fascinating that someone can have
people are already buying stuff that they're easiest ones to sell with. If whatever you're doing, like I said, the best customers are people who are already making money or already getting results. Right. They just want to fast track that. Mm-hmm. So you give them a faster, easier path to the result they want, and you prove that you're the expert in your field, or you know what you're talking about, they're going to trust you.
Right. Well, I'd love to. I just thought of this now based on your answer. With the internet and with the ability to S&D a website, one person could go spend $20,000 on, like, the best coders and graphic guys in the world. Like, say, like SpaceX, I think it's a cool website. You're scrolling and the pieces of their rocket are coming apart as you're scrolling. I love the site. Now, that would be hard to S&D and rip off, but a lot of other things you can just swipe and deploy someone's layout. What do you feel like are the biggest, with online marketing, what do you think are the biggest elements, and what are you seeing in terms of like the services you guys offer to building that trust? Because having a slick-looking website or even good copy doesn't necessarily do it like before, because so many people are, copying each other's stuff.
Okay. Something that no one really does, consistency. Mm-hmm. If they can keep seeing you in your business bring out good stuff and stuff that's quality, and they start seeing other people are getting the same results,
right,
over time you're going to be the most trusted person in the marketplace. Like, you can't build a huge brand overnight.
Right.
There's no way you can do it. Don't care how much money you spend on your marketing. You might be seen by a lot of people, but no one's going to trust you unless you're consistently there in their face, showing them why they should trust you.
Right.
Helping other people, getting results for other people.
Yeah, so over the last few months, I've been seeing you've been posting some results of people who are using some of your online marketing services. And to me, it's interesting that I'm a glass half full kind of a person, optimist person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I see these things, I live by a philosophy I learned from a friend of mine named Marshall. He's like, I trust people until they give me a reason not to. But I've seen some of these comments where people do a launch and they're like, hey, I did this PPC campaign and we were spending 87 cents per click per conversion to opt-in, and we sold a $100 product and our total cost was $47. We have a net doubled our money. And a lot of people are like, oh, these are all just fake screenshots you made up. Like, how do you deal with that perhaps rising level of pessimism in the marketplace?
I don't get so much that myself. I think it's just the way I put myself across.
Uh-huh.
And obviously there should be pessimism. There are a lot of people that do fake their stuff.
Right.
You can fake screenshots. You can fake screenshots aren't that hard to fake. Like,
right.
You also do pixels in weird ways. I've seen people do ridiculous stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're able to show results and then show the reasoning behind that as well, like, this is why it worked, this is the logic behind that, why that thing worked the way it did, this is the logic why it didn't work.
Right.
And honestly, the easiest way is just having other people talk for you.
Yeah, it's almost like, to me, a case study is really powerful. A video testimonial of the client is the most powerful. A case study where you talk about the client and their results, to me, I find that compelling. I'm not all like show me the stuff. Like, because if the person is one of your clients and I'm ready to write you a $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 check, then, at that point, maybe you're going to, once you've vetted me, I know I'm not a tire kicker, then you may refer someone like that to a client to verify things. But I did see one guy, he did a video login where he logged into a couple of his merchant accounts and right there, you're recording the screen. I thought that was pretty ingenious because, like you said, it addressed the whole, it's not a fake screenshot.
Yes, it just depends on how you do it. You don't want to be cheesy in the way you do your marketing either.
Mm-hmm.
Again, depend who your market is, what they're looking for, and how you should represent yourself to them.
Right.
If you're going for that whole IM space, yeah, definitely showing the video screen of your accounts and whatever is great for them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to corporate stuff, they see that they might come across as cheesy to them. They want something that's, show me a case study, show me your reports, show me what other people have gotten from you, and actually prove that you know what you're talking about.
Right.
And then having an offer that makes sense for them.
Mm-hmm. So
now,
tell us.
You can get away with having average offers if the people already trust you.
Right. Yeah, like you really tailor the messaging to the target client, the target market, right?
Well, put it this way, if I didn't know you, the person who I was trying to market to, they hadn't seen anything from me, and I said, hey, I've got a spot open for a new client. Who's interested? You'd hear crickets.
Right.
Now, if I had 20 people who'd seen my stuff every day for the last month or so,
mm-hmm.
I put the same offer out, all I would say is, hey, do you want to come part of mine? And you get people saying, hey, I'm interested, can you tell me more?
Right. That goes back to your consistency.
Correct.
Yeah, you're not doing a 2-week launch and you're putting out all this content and then you disappear. Like, you're regularly talking about things that are going on. So Josh, who would be your ideal client? Let's say, hey, the perfect avatar. Who is your perfect avatar client? I'd love to hear that.
Perfect of me. People who are already getting some sort of results. So you need to have a business. You need to have a sales process. So where I can help you is if you need more leads. So we build your front end, meaning getting more people who are raising their hands like, hey, I'm interested in what you have to offer. Can you talk to me more?
Right.
That's the kind of people I work best with. So ones who, once you get a lead in front of you, you're going to be able to close them. You know how to follow up. You know how to call them. You just need that extra front end push.
Yeah, so someone has a decent funnel and they have a good sales closing, but they're not the best at lead generation. This would be like a great client.
Not necessarily even a funnel. You've got a good offer. Like your product is good.
Mm-hmm.
you got to make money in the back end. Like you need to have high enough value for the customers to be worthwhile for you to spend on marketing.
Right.
You need to have a sales process in place. So you have to have sold your product before. You can't just be a new business.
Right.
But if you've got those things in place and you're ready to actually grow your business, so let me clarify that. If you've got less than 10 clients, you're a hobby, not a business.
Right.
That's a starting point. If you've got some clients behind you, you've got some results, and you're able to prove that you know what you're talking about, we can get you more clients. We can double down those results.
So, some people sell very low volume, high ticket price items. Someone sells private jets. Maybe they sell 50 private jets a year, but that's $120, $150 million a year company. Right. How do you, if in that kind of a scenario, would you look at it as a dollar amount? If you're doing at least X dollar amount, then hey, we can still make sure the math makes sense to generate more of those high quality leads for those.
If I sell them one more, that particular business you're talking about now, if I sell them one more plane than they are currently, it'd be worth it for them.
Uh-huh.
So that's a no-brainer kind of deal. So what we then have to work out is who are the exact clients you're trying to deal with?
Right. So
are
they're
these people
selling
who own companies. How do you sell it to them? What is the benefit of doing that?
Right. So yeah,
running a generic Facebook ad wouldn't make sense.
Do you find people like that because to me that's always fascinating to me. You're selling a $5 million product, one extra product a year, like you just said. So you have a 20% margin. That's an extra $1 million in profit in your pocket. You should be happy to spend $300,000. That's tripling your money, 300% ROI on your marketing dollars. In that situation, are you finding that the clients are willing to really let you help them refine the sales process as well as the front end part, optimizing that as well?
Typically, yes. They want to refine the sales process. But generally, if they're at that stage, they've usually got their sales process down quite well. Mm-hmm. But there are certain things we can add value to them there. But again, it always comes down to the same question: who is your market?
Mm-hmm. Well, why I asked that is it's fascinating to me. Like I work with a group of 4 companies in the U.S. here in the real estate space, and so there's a real estate brokerage, buying and selling properties. There's a property managing investment properties for investor clients, and there's a construction company and also an investment company buying and selling their own properties. What's fascinating to me is sometimes I'm consulting with all three of the 4 companies, right? And sometimes I will talk to, say, someone in the real estate brokerage side, and I'll ask them a question, and they'll be like, oh, well, like, of course. And it's like, hey, you're a real estate broker. You do this all day, every day. But to me, as an outside person, I want to ask a question that maybe other people haven't thought to ask you. And so, some people are like, oh, we have that handled. It seems like the people who are the most successful are like, we have a great process, but if you could potentially optimize it, little hinges swing big doors. I'm open to being 100%. Optimized. So
1% gains.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're already successful, 1% gains makes a huge difference.
Right.
How can we improve themselves? Like, if you're not improving, you're dying. Like, there's industries that get wiped out because they don't improve themselves.
Right. A friend of mine, Eric Graham, he put this really interesting thing to show you the math, the power of the compounding effect. He's like, say you have a 10-step process. 3 steps are front-end marketing, a 7-step sales process for a $5,000 or $10,000 product. He's like, if you could improve every step of that 3%, then that effect is like you double your business because it all compounds upon each other. And so that really stuck in my head, like, if someone is hiring you for, say, the front-end part of really optimizing the marketing process, it's like, hey, be open to another 3 or 5% increase in all these other steps.
Look at there's 3 ways to grow a business. If you remember Jay Abraham's talks on this, you either get more customers, get them to buy more often, get them to buy in higher quantity.
Right.
You change one of those by a percentage point, it compounds ridiculously.
Right, or get them to buy upsells. Like that's part of a subset of more often.
That's more often.
Yeah, more often, or go ascend from the $100 product to the $10,000 product. Yeah.
High quantity volume. Just if you play those 3 numbers, improving each part by a little bit each month, you're going to grow your business really fast.
Jos, in your experience, I've made this mistake myself, so I'm going to admit, Kennedy says, admit fatal flaws. For a long time, I way focused too much on getting new people. And it's like the easiest people to sell to are people who already bought from you.
Customers.
What percentage of your customers do you find make that same mistake I made for a long time?
Majority don't even know the numbers.
Really?
A lot of people don't know their numbers. That's a big issue for people. Become successful at business despite themselves.
Uh-huh.
But if you can see those gaps, like I've seen people with huge mailing lists of people who have been customers before, they never messaged out to.
Wow.
What we did was take the list and say, hey, we've got this offer for you. Would you be interested? We've had huge income streams coming from that, sending out a letter to them.
It's almost like the Frank Kern just following up the little 4 email sequence of, I haven't talked to you in a while. Here's a special I'm doing, and it's really, really not elaborate. It's like the 4-sentence email, basically.
Oh, not just for internet marketing, any kind of business. Like, let's do a dentist. Follow up with your people. Have a process of following up. Like most of them won't have that. Do you send them an email? Do you send them a text?
Right.
Do you give them an incentive to come back in and have a 6 monthly checkup?
Mm-hmm.
If you get 10% of your customers who are coming in anyway to get them on a 6-month program,
right,
that increases your revenue ridiculously.
Mm-hmm.
And you can incentivize them to pay for that on a monthly basis, so it actually saves them money in the long term.
Right.
It gets them to come more often, but it also will allow you to grow your monthly revenue.
Right.
So you know that you're guaranteed X amount of extra income.
Yeah, it's fascinating. That's such a continuity-based thing, how few dentists follow up with people. It's like, hey, unless they just hate dentists or are afraid of them, they're going to come in twice a year. And like sometimes people just forget. It's like mail them at the 5-month point. Remind them.
Joe Girard with the cars, he followed up. He kept in touch with his clients.
Right.
If you have a relationship with your clients, they're going to come back to you again. They're going to bring friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of my new clients have been referred from previous clients.
Wow, that's cool.
They've got people who will follow you for years. Like some of my latest clients have been extremely valuable, have come after watching me 3-4 years.
Right. That's really cool, Jos. I always liked that Bill Glazer built a really, really strategic customer loyalty rewards program to really incentivize referrals. How intentional have you been with building a referral system? That's great that the majority of your clients are coming from referrals. Congratulations.
Yeah, most of them, like I said, most of them are probably from referrals. We haven't really got much of a system to bring in more referrals.
Uh-huh.
That being said, we don't want to take on too many clients.
So, like, at the rate that you want to grow, the referrals are nicely lining up with that at this point.
Yeah, correct. It's not lining up, but also we literally cannot take on too many clients.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cap that we can take on with our business just for that side. Like when you do really strategic marketing and you're actually managing the campaigns, you can't take on that many clients.
Right. If you take on 10 clients at once, someone's going to get poor service because there's not enough hours to manage all of them.
Correct. And you can't. I'm not saying you can't, but it's very difficult to get people who know marketing at the same level and they can continue that. Like you can start becoming a big box agency, but unless you want to sacrifice the quality and the abilities that you actually have to work with clients strategically, it's not the best move. Unless you offer services that are different, like web design, that's more copy paste something. You can teach someone to do web design. It's not that difficult.
Right.
You can teach SEO. But when you're doing strategic marketing where you look at the business and you actually look at what is going to be the best option for them and taking their customers down that journey from cold prospect or wherever they are in their buying cycle to actually becoming a customer or becoming a repeat customer, that's where you need a lot of work done and you need to be able to monitor the different stages of the sales process.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating that a lot of really successful campaigns use 4 or 5 media modalities. It's 2 or 3 letters, it's a few emails, it's a few texts, it's a few calls, and incorporating all of those things. Nowadays, Facebook ads, and then follow up with some DMs or follow up drips on the fan page. All of these things. It's fascinating to me that there's so many people who do all of these different things, but very few people help, like a conductor, coordinate all of those things as a holistic system or organism.
Well, think about it this way. Whilst all those things are great, what is it the easiest path to get the business?
Are you asking me, or you're saying they should be? You get them to ask that question.
What is the easiest path to get to the clients? Like when you're starting something up, you look at where are my customers? My people are most likely to become my clients,
right?
Or do business with me. And what's the easiest path for them to get to have a conversation with me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is your sales process? If you sell via sending a conversation, your goal should be getting more conversations happening.
Right.
So if you're taking people who don't really know you, how do you get them from not knowing you to wanting to get on a call with you? What's the space here?
Right. Yeah, sort of like that's like the Gary Halbert thing, right? The hero and the dilemma, and then how they save the day. So it seems like there's the credibility, there's the story, there's the pain point, or like the IDA, you know.
Well, they've already got some sort of pain point. You understand, okay, that's the pain point. Mm-hmm. This is where you want to get them to give them the solution. What do they need to know in order to hop on a call with you?
Right. Yeah, like, first of all, you got to show them that these are the steps to bridge the gap, and here's why my company or my team can help you, or here's how we can help you, and have the credibility to back it up.
Yeah, or different, and at the same time, you want to differentiate from everyone else in your marketplace. So everyone's zigging, you want to zag.
Josh, I want to ask you, this is sort of like a personal question, but I don't know why. I just now thought of it for the first time. Have you ever like struggled with the ethics of knowing that people will take action faster to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure? Like how far do you turn up the pain meter? Because you know that's a stronger motivator. Like if you love someone and you care about them enough to tell them a truth they don't want to hear, like you're eating too many Twinkies, this is why you're going to die of obesity and diabetes, right? Some people are saying, imagine how much better your love life will be if you're thin. Like they're selling the dream of the benefit of being thin. But I think the more powerful thing is talk about the pain of the path that they're on. And I don't know, where do you think ethics play in with that?
Sells better. It's. Are you saying the truth in marketing? Is in the best interest of your customer.
Right.
Think of yourself as confidant. If you really care about the person, what would you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's sort of like if you don't know someone, there's one of Solomon's sayings is that a wound from a friend can be trusted, meaning a true friend will tell you something you don't want to hear, but that you need to hear. And they'll say it in a way that they care about you and they love you, and they know that it may offend you, but they're going to say it anyways because they care about you that much. So
it's legal, is it ethical, is it moral?
Right.
That's the three questions we're asking. Like, just because something will make you more money in the short term, if you're lying or telling people half truths, and there are people that do this, even if you last for a long time in your business. Do you really want to be running a business or having a life where you need to be telling half truths?
Yeah, no, you don't.
Like people will spread the truth very thin, or they'll say, "I've made this many sales, I've done this much sales volume." They'll play in the greys,
right?
But it's not something you want to do. Like, why would you want to get customers to believe that? Firstly.
Right.
And if you can't actually deliver that value for them, they're not going to stick around.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you're always if the experience of interacting with you is like, why are they seeming to try to make me feel like I need this? That's not a cool thing. I thought that's how someone wants to feel, that they're never going to be able to solve this challenge.
Stick around, think about what it does to yourself. If you're incongruent with yourself, what does that do to your body?
Oh yeah, your body will be unhappy. It'll show up in terms of disease, and you'll feel stress and headaches and all other kind of stuff.
Yes, not good.
Well, yeah, so here's another way of saying it. So say you have a client, they have an amazing sales funnel, their numbers make sense, they're just not, they've used word of mouth, now they want to be more strategic, and say they want to have a business where it's a product and they really can scale up. In that situation, when you're building that front-end funnel or optimizing the front-end funnel, to me, it's like I see a lot of people being unwilling to offend people, like they're being too nice. And I love that Kennedy phrase: "If you haven't offended someone by noon every day, you're not marketing hard enough, or you're not saying something with a strong enough position." And so, if you sort of like harassing people a little, you could take that to an extreme and just be a jerk, right? So to me, I always wonder, like, do you find more people are focusing too much on people's pain points, or not enough in their marketing messaging?
Not enough. I don't think most people
Not
take into
enough.
account who their customers are in the first place.
Uh-huh.
Like some people like it because they know their market to an extent because that's the only market they've been in. But if you don't spend the time to really get to know your customers, like 9 times out of 10, like every business I've worked with, they don't know the customers well enough.
Wow.
And even people who've been in business 10 years, like, ask them, who's your business? They'll go, broad answer, they're business owners between 30 to 60. Like, no, that's not a market.
That's all business owners that are 20, 25.
Yeah.
That's everybody except for
Who's
the
market?
tech young guys.
Are they in this industry? Are they female? Are they males? What keeps them up at night? What are they scared of? Why do they actually want to? What will make them take action?
Right.
Like you want to get
Wow.
inside their heads.
You said about 90% of your customers have not gone deep enough in who is their ideal client?
People in general don't know them, don't know market.
Wow.
Like that's okay. Again, that's me because I go deep in with our marketing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you talk on the very surface level, most people don't know who their market is.
So say someone listening right now or watching, we're doing a video. I'm excited. We're doing a video here. Say someone, say like they're like, hey, I have a $5 million business. I have a great direct mail thing, but I know nothing about Facebook or online advertising. Like, just sort of walk me through what would that experience be of connecting with you, and what's the process you go through to figure out how to best help them?
Okay, so we probably start with a discovery session, so we understand who they're actually dealing with and what kind of value they bring to their marketplace. So, what is their sales process? How does it work? Who are you going for?
Right.
So, if I spoke to them and I understood that they've got like their market is 10 people in the world, like they're only looking after top 10 Fortune CEOs, I'm going to tell them Facebook marketing doesn't make sense for you.
Right. So you do a market to media match first. You look at the media match.
I'll look at it with customer.
Yeah, once you define the market.
Yeah, who are they? What is their buying process? And what's the best way to actually get in front of them?
Right.
If the market only hangs out in airport lounges and they usually come in one lounge, they're there every second day, that's probably going to be a good place for me to put my marketing message in front of them.
Right.
If they browse a certain website more than other websites, that's probably going to be a good place to be marketing to them.
So if the person talking to you doesn't know those things, this is part of if they hire you, this is part of the research you do.
Yeah,
okay.
It's part of the research process that we work at all that stuff to understand. You need to understand your market intimately.
Right.
Like, okay, if you were talking to your best friend, your best friend in the world, you'd be able to sell them on something quite easily because you know who they are. You know what to say to them.
Right.
So you want to understand your market in the same way as if they were your best friend and you knew them, you know they like, you know they dislike, you know how to speak to them. That's what you want to get to.
So once you figured out where they hang out, what their pain points are, then what happens next, Jos?
You need to create the funnel. So, you know what? I might actually bring this up for you. Go to my website, iamjosaguiar.com. Actually got a full process here. So what I've done is create a 5-step process that understands the whole marketing cycle, regardless of whether you're doing online or offline, it will work.
Right.
So very high level things. Phase 1, you want to do your research. You want to get in-depth understanding of your product and the target market. Phase 2, you actually want to map the sales process. So, like I said before, if you're trying to get them to a phone call, that's the then result we want to get to.
Right.
What needs to happen before that, and what needs to happen before that. There'll be different ways you can get to that phone call. We want to find out what's the most efficient way to get there. It could be a webinar. It could be a call. It could be a stand in a shopping centre. if your market's in shopping centres and that's where they hang out, that's where you need to be.
Right.
From there, you need to build that customer journey. So write the copy, design the pages, develop it all, do all the technical stuff to actually build the infrastructure for that. Or if you're doing offline, you want to create the copy, get the envelopes, all that stuff.
Right.
The fourth phase is actually testing it out. So send traffic to that web page or get people coming through those shops, send your letters out, test it. So take to market, drive the most highly target traffic to your offer you can. Then once you've done that, you'll have some data to play with. Did that work? What worked about it? What can we change?
Right.
Start testing things. So we start scaling. So we scale by testing and getting better results. We scale by adding new offers. We scale by adding different sales processes. So change out phase 2, add a additional sales process. So if you're doing Facebook, that's
you start
doing
A/B split testing once you have some control numbers. Okay.
You can scale horizontally or you can scale vertically. So increase your spend or increase the reach, increase the people the way you're trying to reach people, different markets.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's great that you have these 5 phases. So pretty much you look to get the basic information in that initial consultation on your site here. I am josaguiar.com. You're basically going to walk through those things with them, and then once you've mapped that out, then you can talk, okay, hey, this is how different ways we can work together from there.
Exactly. I need to understand whether I can actually help someone first before we even start doing something together.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting how sometimes I've had this before with some of my businesses. Someone hires you, they pay you a lot of money, and then you do what you say you're going to do, and then they don't implement it, or they do a bad job following up. And if you have a back end royalty thing, then that can really affect you. But I think to me, my experience is the more frustrating part is you want the win for the client, and then you see them leaving all this money on the table, and it's like I struggle with that. A lot of gurus say don't be too emotionally tied to your customers buying into your solution, and it's like I struggle with that.
Yeah, I get that. It's
like, how do you deal with that yourself? When it's costing you money and it's costing them money, and they're not.
I don't want to put myself in situations like that in the first place, where I can't control the process. If it's a result of me consulting them, they haven't followed up. There's not much you can do about it. You can't force someone to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
Like, you can get someone all the leads in the world. If they don't follow up, it's not your responsibility to call it for them.
How do you screen for the people who will tell you what you want to hear because they want to hire you, and then become a problem client? Like, how do you screen for that? Because some people they're not compliant, they won't follow rules.
Well, you'll start to get a sense for who people are. If they're generally, like I said, you talked about it before, if they're generally doing well to an extent already, they just want to improve this. So if they've got a good business, their margins make sense, and they seem to be legitimately wanting to grow that, or they just want to improve in the results, and you can see everything makes sense to them. I'm already doing a business, like some of the stuff we look at, we look at their campaigns and say, you've got a huge gaping hole here. If we just fix this up, you'd be doing a lot better. Like, that's the simple fixes you can do sometimes.
I wanted to ask, because you, one of the things I admire about you, Jos, is that you really are engaging with people who are making a big impact in the world. I'd be curious, what percentage of your clients? Because I'll give you context. For a long time, I wanted to make $1 million a year. To me, that just seemed like some kind of a validation for myself, right?
Yeah.
And then my vision expanded, and then it became, well, I want to build a $100 million company. And then it became, well, I would like to build a $100 million net profit company. And my why kept changing. It was no longer because I want to see if I can do it. It was more like I want to maximize my impact. But for a while, it was like, at the beginning, I wanted to make $1 million a year because I thought it would validate something about me being successful. So I'd be curious, with the kind of clients that you're working with these days, what percent are more impact driven, and maybe what percent are more, I just want to see if I can hit this number driven?
Okay, it's different things with different clients because we work with, I guess, different segments of market. For people who are the expert kind of space, it generally comes down to impact driven. Like, if they were purely money driven, they would just start a company. Like, it's a lot simpler to scale that way. For the corporations, like we work with like telcos and telecommunications companies, they're more numbers driven. So they want to know, they want to have report back to their board, show them what the results are. So they want the result to come as a result from what we do with them.
What's the experience like for you working with the big corporate people? Like, to me, I don't know. I've struggled with people who just have that employee mindset. You know, like, I just need to hit these numbers to make my boss happy or whatever, or to get a promotion. And
in terms of, I think it's people are going to be different. You need to understand where they're coming from and what's driving their decisions.
Yeah, like, in a way, what I want a client of yours to think, oh, Jos enjoys the entrepreneurs better, so, you know, forget him. We want someone who's happy to work with us. I'm just sort of curious, like, how do you manage that, knowing that you're an entrepreneur, but these are like corporate-minded thinking people that you're serving?
They're still people.
Right.
Regardless of that, they're people.
So you just empathize with them and put on the hat, what if I worked for a big corporation, and talk to them that way?
It still comes down to the same thing. They're people and they're doing their job. They're usually very passionate about their job, but they wouldn't be making those decisions if they weren't. So what is it we're trying to do as a company? I'm still trying to work out the business result.
Right.
What do we need to do to get the result of the business? So whether you're an individual who has a program, meaning work out how to get your program to market, or your corporation that sells a service, how can we get you in front of the right people? How can we get you in front of more people?
So even the big corporations like telcos, where you're helping them sell their service to more people, get it in front of more people, you're finding your contact person is pretty passionate about the topic, huh?
Generally, they need to have some sort of passion behind it, or they need to still want to get the result of the business.
Right.
Regardless of whether they're a corporation or an individual.
Yeah, I find that fascinating because I hear them talking about millennials. You know, they're more motivated by making an impact, doing something cool, than making more money than their friend. Right? It's a different kind of mindset. And then, to me, it's like, I don't live in an either or paradigm. I live in an and paradigm. Like, I would love to make a lot of money selling a high profit margin product and make a huge, crazy, amazing impact on the world. And to me, they're not mutually exclusive. You can do both.
Yes and no. I think we spoke about this earlier. What are your values? It depends on the person that you're dealing with and what their values are. Would they want to make lots of money? They generally know they're going to have to put a lot more work in the front end, at least.
Right.
Or if you want to live in a lifestyle business where you don't need to be working crazy, we're doing a lot of front end work.
Right. But in terms of impact, like some people, I'll give you another either or example. I'd love to hear your input as an Australian. A lot of people think, I want to do great things for the world, so I'm going to go do nonprofit work. What's like a business serving people powerfully and doing cutting edge things might serve people more powerfully than a nonprofit. So, you know, Richard Branson's idea that a business can be a force for good. We believe businesses, the best businesses are forces for good. To me, I'm hoping that more corporations and nonprofits can both see the strengths of the other side, because it's not an either or. But I wonder how do I'm guessing you have quite a few Australian clients as well as American and other countries. You mentioned earlier, you know, a nonprofit. Like, do you find that how many of your corporate clients have that Branson idea or philosophy that they want to use their business as a force for good? And how many of your American ones? I'd love to hear that, those kind of numbers.
It generally comes down to the people running it. If you've got a founder or a CEO who has that as a major focus in them, that company generally brings on the same characteristics. So if you've got a leader who's very passionate about helping other people and embraces that as their culture, and they purposely breathe that into their culture, the company's going to be different. We work with companies, they're very focused on the experience to the point that it hurts sales, but the experience is more important to them.
So do you mind expanding on that? What does that mean? They're so focused on the experience that it hurts sales. Could you expand on that?
Okay, so they won't bring on, we've seen gaps in their business where they can bring on membership programs.
Right.
But they wouldn't want to do that because it would the excluding people who are using their free stuff, their free information. They don't want everything they do. They want to be inclusionary.
So they're not willing to create a smaller group of an elite group of their subset of their client base.
They don't have an elitist mentality to their in that particular business.
Wow.
It's different, but it's what works for them. So you need to work around that.
Right. Yeah, that's fascinating. So maybe they just, for whatever reason, they feel like they're going to hurt someone's feelings if they have an ascension model.
Yeah, I guess so. It's the type of business they are, and it's built around her personal brand. So she won't want to change that aspect of it. So you need to find another way to monetize the brand.
Yeah, that is fascinating. There's so many different ways to be successful, and in studying King Solomon a lot in the last 8 years, reading a lot of books by and about billionaires, there's like two things I've noticed, Josh. One is there are like literally 100 different ways to become a billionaire, meaning you can stay up late at night, you can get up in the morning, you can do mostly digital marketing, you can do mostly old school marketing, you can do it in almost any industry. It seems like the people who are successful, that the commonalities are they ask different questions than most people. So they find competitive advantages, or as Peter Thiel calls it, they discover secrets others don't know. And they're humble enough to ask questions, like they keep asking questions, even when they're on top, so to speak. And then, they're like, to me, I think the ones I admire the most, they're driven by impact. And so, like, those are the three big commonalities I see. But it's encouraging to me to know, because I don't like getting up first thing in the morning. That doesn't have to be a limiting factor for me. Sean Parker stays up till 2 in the morning doing emails, and he's still a multi-billionaire. So that to me is sort of fascinating, because some people think, well, you got to do it this way. And it's like, no, you don't. Like this lady you just mentioned with the digital thing, or her branding being differently. I've struggled with that myself. Like, how can a tech company be worth multiple billions and they're still in the red? They still are not making net profits. It's I've had a hard time wrapping my mind around that. Monetizing potential future eyeballs, because like with your service, that would be a hard thing to ramp up, right? If they run out of money, they can't pay you for the service anymore.
It depends on what it's valued on. Like all of these tech startups, they aren't valued on their actual revenue, but they're valued on the value that they can bring in based on customers.
Right.
Now, whether that's inflated value or based on something real it depends.
A lot of times they have like 7-10-year plans to actually monetize those eyeballs.
Yes, that's assuming the market doesn't change, assuming other factors, and assuming they can pivot to keep in time with everything else. So it carries some level of risk, and its value is purely based on the eye of the holder.
Right.
So why is a Gucci purse worth more than this other purse that's built out of exactly the same materials, that looks exactly the same, except for the little G on it?
Right. Yeah, it is fascinating that you're talking about revenue. That, to me, I don't know, the more I'm in business, the more I like creating exclusivity and having a premium offering, because if 10% of your clients are going to buy the premium thing and your margins are way better, that can help you serve a lot more of these lower paying clients, because now you have a lot more gross and more net revenue both to work with.
Depends on what business model you work with.
Right.
Colgate does pretty damn well, but they don't have a high ticket product.
Right. Yeah.
McDonald's, huge business. They average product value is what, $5-10?
Yeah, that's a meal, right? Yeah, about $5 for the meal. Yeah, 5-7.
They serve millions of those customers every day.
Right. Yeah, to me, like I admire Sam Walton, or people who can create amazing value, like go so wide. Peter Diamandis says, find a way to serve 1 billion people. At the same time, it's like you gotta know your numbers so well if your margins are that thin.
Yeah, but they know the margins, they know the process, they understand that business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
Just
I
different
admire them,
models.
and I would never pick that model for myself. But that's what's awesome about business. There's so much variety. There's so much variance. So
Again, you've got more of a consultancy model than you've got a volume model.
uh-huh. So Josh, I'd like to
If
ask
you
you
high
like,
volume, it's high value.
yeah, I want to ask you two last questions, like in wrapping up. So we talked about your intro process, how people come to you. Thank you for referring us to your site to like go through, and it lays it all out there. Again, everybody, that's I am Jos Aguiar.com, Aguiar. Like, who is the perfect client for you in terms of their psychographics? Like you talked about, they got to have a sales funnel, they got to know
They've
their
got to be a
numbers.
growth mindset.
What about
They've got to have a
psychographics?
growth mindset. A mindset about growth. So they want to be able to grow the business or grow themselves.
Uh-huh.
They need to be ready to take action. So if you're really wanting to grow your business and you're willing to look at your processes and understand that, hey, this might not be working for you right now, but if we change this, it might work a lot better for you. You'll be willing to test things out. Now, if you're willing to do all that, I can definitely help you grow things, and I'll tell you if we can't.
Right.
A lot of people come to us, and we can look at them and like, we can't help you right now. You're not in the right position for it. Go over here. I've got some free training. I've got some free resources you can look through. Go through that stuff and get yourself in the right position to actually grow your business further.
Right. So in terms of them wanting to grow and being teachable, willing, like they have the budget to do what you propose, and they're action oriented. They want to grow.
Yeah.
How do you balance like screening for? You talked about earlier the confidence. You're the confidence to talk to a billionaire and realize you have value to give them. I want to tie in like the beginning and the end here. How do you like balance screening for like teachability and yet ultimate confidence? Because to me, a really confident person is like, hey, let's start at 10 grand a month, and if it works, I want to scale up to 100 grand a month with you running ad campaigns for me. Like
I don't take people on the word if they say they want to scale. A lot of people say, okay, in the consulting kind of space and marketing space, a lot of people say, I'll do this and we might be able to get there. I'm like, no, I'm just looking at what you say right now. I'm not looking at the future. Yes, you might be a great customer in the future, but right now we're doing this first thing with you.
So you always focus on the front end number. Like, what are they willing to do now? That's all you focus on.
Well, again, the easiest customer doesn't get. It could be a low number, it could be a high number.
Uh-huh.
But they're just wanting that result. If that result makes sense to them, we get started.
Okay.
If someone starts saying to me, I want to do this, but they start trying to do, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you later on, like, that's a red flag for me because it signals that they either don't have the confidence in themselves to just get started or they don't actually have the ability to sell properly right now.
Well, can I ask two clarifying questions on that? Well, so say someone is used to making $100,000 a month, and their current budget, marketing budget, is $5,000, and they've had mostly referrals. And then they're like, hey, if I start doing things online, my target market, they hang out online. I think I should work with Jos. So they do a consultation with you. Well, like the Richard Branson rules, don't have one of anything, right? Have two of everything. Have two bank accounts. Have two marketing companies working for you. So if they're going to test you out with someone else, they might just be following the Richard Branson rule. Like, why would that be a red flag to you? Maybe they just want to test small and then grow. You said they didn't have a growth mindset.
Again, you test small, but again, you're talking about, you didn't say that. You asked whether they're trying to push something else. Like, we do this now, we can do this later. It's like, okay, that's fine. Let's just talk about now.
Okay, so why would it be a red flag? Are you thinking they're trying to hold something over you or another reason?
It's not that they're trying to threat something over there. They're literally, they're looking at something down the track.
So you think
they get started something else.
So you may be feeling, hey, they're looking too far ahead. I need to rein them back in to look at the beginning part more.
They're not sure about what they are right now.
Okay.
Generally speaking. It's like going to a shop and saying, hey, I want to test out your burger. Okay, go to the restaurant. I want to test out your burger first before I buy your meal.
Right.
The restaurant owner is going to be going there like, what is this person wanting to do?
Well, I think it could also be like, hey, I want to have one of this burger and one of this burger, and if they're both really, if I and my wife really like it, we want to bring our whole family and buy 20 burgers next week that kind of thing.
Which generally means they're not confident in the result of the business that they're working with, or not confident in themselves.
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's
So either if I'm having that conversation, they're not confident enough in my abilities, or they're not confident enough in their own abilities. If that's the way you're starting a relationship out, it's probably not the best relationship to go forwards with.
Well, another possibility would be, a lot of entrepreneurs think big, right? So maybe someone is thinking, I've hired 3 different digital agencies to help me with online advertising. I had an okay experience with one. I had a horrible experience with the second one. I had a fairly good experience with the third. Like, I want to find one to have a great experience. I'm hearing great things about Josh. I'm hoping I have a great experience with him. In that situation, if they've been burned, maybe they want to start at 5 or 10,000 and see the numbers and then grow up.
The question is, why have they dealt with so many people who have burnt them?
That's a good question. Maybe they didn't do their research. Maybe they didn't do their part of it. There could be a lot of factors. And maybe they weren't teachable enough.
Yeah, that's
through.
Another thing that you, as a service provider, you want to look at. Why has this person burned through so many companies?
Right. Well, there's another saying of Solomon. He says that hiring any passerby is like shooting an arrow out of a window at random, meaning you're going to wound a lot of people by not being smart in who you hire and who you work with. So sadly, some people are that lazy about it. They're not.
The thing is to take on new clients. Like, you don't want to take on everyone.
Right.
Everyone is a good fit for you. So I guess I'm very selective with who we work with for that reason. Like, if someone's gone through 10 companies in the last year, something's wrong there.
Right. Yeah, one of my JV partners, I've had to work on that with them. Like, look, if 10 people want to give us $100,000 checks right now, and 2 of them are the biggest pain in the butts, I wouldn't care if they want to give us $1 million check. Like, do not accept these 2 people. We got to be a lot more selective on who we screen. And I don't know if it's a lack mentality thing or there's money here, take it. Like they're being just overly practical and in the money sense and not practical enough in the emotional sense of what will be the time factor, the emotional strain factor of having this very hard to deal with client as a customer. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm working on helping them with that.
Well, if you have to oversell to someone, you probably don't want them as a customer.
Right. Yeah, if they're not willing to screen you and you're screening them, then you look for those red flags. Those are some good things to point out. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah. So good.
Awesome. Was there anything that you'd like to share in closing that we didn't cover? I appreciate your insights on how you screen people, because I think there's a lot of value in that. Not enough people screen enough.
Yeah, I guess in part it's the sense you start to develop, and there are certain things you look for. Is this person already doing well? Are they just missing aspects you can add value to? So if they're already doing really well on whatever you're doing with them, is there some sort of gap that you can help them with? If there's not, why are you taking them on as client? What value are you actually adding there? It's better to work with someone that you can help get significant results than someone that's going to get marginal at best.
Right.
And in that case, when you're able to get the results, whatever that might be, they feel good about it, you feel good about it. It's a great relationship going forwards.
So that's as measured by you. You look for the bigger impact. So like as
look for the
measured
impact and what I can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. It sounds to me like you're both impact and you look for both things. It sounds to me like.
You need to. You need to be able to create both impact and create financial result.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point being in business if you're not trying to get a financial result out of it as well, because it just doesn't make sense for anyone.
Right. So, Josh, I've been working on trying to figure out sort of like a closing question for my podcast. Lewis Halstead has that thing, if you were on your deathbed and everything you ever did was erased, what were the 4 things you tell your loved ones, right, that you want to leave with them? What are the core things you're about? I always like to say, like, I'm really motivated by legacy because I had such a messed up immediate family that I'm thinking like, hey, my great grandkids or their kids that I might never meet, like what would I want them to know about me? Like if you're thinking 3, 4, 5 generations ahead, like what is the core of your being? What would you want them to know about you? What would you want your legacy to be for your family or even clients that they're telling their kids about how awesome you are because you made an impact on their life, not just.
My dad passed on to me. You can achieve anything you want in life as long as you put your mind to it.
Mm-hmm.
At face value, that sounds just you can do whatever you want. Just go ahead and do it. When you start thinking about that, as long as you put your mind to it, it's that as long as. The human mind has potential to allow us to do many things.
Right.
But we need to use it.
Mm-hmm. So you really want to leave a legacy of your family as a way of living, really using the fullness of our capacity as much as possible.
Yeah, if you use fullness of capacity. Like, if you're just existing, what's the point?
Uh-huh.
What's the point of living if you're not going to do something great with it?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. See, I think you're a better interviewer than me. You've answered some of my questions with questions. I mean, that's
consultancy.
See, I'm learning from you here. Yeah, I like to ask myself more deeper questions. Like, I always like to ask why. Sort of like the Matrix 2, when they meet the Merovingi guy, he says, "You come to me with no why." So I think a lot of people, even billionaires, don't ask why enough about themselves, what drives them. You know, I just think that's a really powerful question to be asking. So,
as children, we have this ability to get down to the core of things, or be children, brilliant businessmen by default. I want something, I'm going to get it.
Right.
Why not? Why?
Yeah,
why?
When someone says, "This is how you do stuff," being able to say, "Well, why do people do that? Why do they do it that way?" And asking that like 5 or 6 times more than the other people, that's where you find amazing distinctions.
Yeah, many industries just do what they do because it's what's been done.
Right.
Whereas an outsider can come in and say, "Look, well, this doesn't seem efficient. Why don't we replace that with this process here?" Suddenly you're doubling your processing ability just by making small changes.
Yeah, I love the fact that like I read that book Made in America about Sam Walton, and like my favorite story of that book was when he was like 70-something years old. He got arrested in Brazil, measuring the width of an aisle in a store, in a retail store. They thought he was a crazy old man. He's like trying to figure out how do they do retail in Brazil? Is there something I can learn from them? He's already the richest guy in the world. I think his wealth was already divided up amongst his kids. So
it's a curious mind. It doesn't stop.
Right. Yeah, I really want to maintain that and instill that in my kids. Like, keep asking questions. Don't let someone tell you stop asking questions like some parents do. Keep asking.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with us, Jos, and everybody check out IamJosAguiar.com. And if you meet Jos's criteria you talked about, get a hold of him. You won't be disappointed. Jos, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. We'll speak to you soon.
All right. God bless you.
Thanks for listening to Wisdom to Wealth. If you didn't already, subscribe to our show in iTunes to hear our other episodes. And for more wealth building resources, go now to beyondbillions.com/products.